Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian from Hertz Tribeca Trade Group, and today is Tuesday, April 18th. Another interesting day. I will get to all the market action in just a second. Risk disclaimer in front of you. Everything that we're going through is for information purposes only, not giving out any advice or recommendations. So before we get into the price action for the day, we are still, I still have this special where for first-time members, you get 50% off your first month. And I just wanted to mention that to you. Here's the services that you get when you do that. And I would encourage you to do that and to check it out. Getting a lot of feedback. A couple of people who have taken me up on that offer, who have started over the last month so far, really like it. And I'll go through with you a couple of things that we've added this month that have been a value add for members. So let's get to the some of the themes of the day. The usual here, right? Markets opened up pretty strong, but it is what it is. Every time the markets seem to want to do that, whether it's 20 basis points, 50 basis points, 0.5%, there are sellers that are basically coming into this market. So, you keep hearing about, things that are kind of positive, right? Like, the volatility has been coming in for one, the VIX is now, under 17, but it's still been a market where we haven't really moved too much so far. I want to say, I was going to say year to date, but month to date. So if you look at the numbers month to date, Qs are still down 60 basis points. Small caps haven't really moved. SPY's up 1% for the month. So, now that we're at the 18th of the month for, seasonally strong month, for the indices haven't moved that much. Now, what's particularly interesting is there's been a pretty good rotation under the hood. So I'll go through a couple of those names, and if you're an active trader or trading with a community such as Tribeca Trade Group, then probably you've been exposed to kind of people telling you, hey, there's been some option activity in this name, or there's this is a pretty good setup, because there has been some really nice setups, particularly in growth land. And I think if you go over to looking at again to the right of your screen, the IBD 50 list, like that's a good example of that. We haven't really seen too many months where the IBD 50 list has outperformed. So that's different to me, to see that ETF up about 3% month to date. Even over the last 5 days, it's up, it's up 5%. So if you're paying attention to those types of names, you've probably had a little bit of success over the last week, because again, that's very good outperformance to see the IBD 50 ETF up about 5% and the overall market's flat. Right, this was up 2% again today. So again, interesting. I do take a look at what's going on here. Of course, like this is a tough looking chart. They haven't had such an easy go of it. By the way, big volume coming into this ETF the other day. Maybe that's an inflow, but again, just kind of a change, right? Again, we try to pick up on changes, and if you look at some of the names in here, a couple of names that we've been all over. DraftKings was up 7%. That's a name that we went over. That's a name from our weekend watch list. SMCI, which is a name that I own. ONON is a name that I own. So it's nice to see that. But yeah, very, very good strength. If you look on the right side, the solar group, which you could kind of see from my spreadsheet in here, solar did not perform today. They were down. Solar stocks were, clean energy was down 1.8%. The solar ETF was flat on the day. So we could go over the indices really quick, but I thought that was kind of notable. So here's where we are. We're grinding. We are above the 5-day moving average. Right. Netflix came out with earnings. It's actually kind of recovered from where it's been. Qs, again, tricky, right? I mean, these days where we gap up, you kind of have to be a seller in the first hour. It's something that we are, continuously go over in our pre-market session. I made the point this morning. I said, hey, let's, try to sell some things and be wary that the last couple of days have basically been, a decent move down in the first couple of hours of the session. So that lived up to form to, once again, that's been the pattern. here's what I did. SMCI, which was a recent ad, but took this off. Took another target. I could have hit a third target too, because I think it traded all the way up to 119. But I think this name still looks pretty good. It made a new all-time high today. So even if it comes in here and backs and fill, because this is a little bit of erratic behavior, and that's why I took a couple targets in it. But I'll sit with it. There's no sell signal, even though a little bit erratic. And here's a name that I put on yesterday, and here's what I mean. Like, sometimes just picking a name, right? You don't have to like try to accomplish all your price targets, right? You get a big winner, or this wasn't a huge winner, but something you have to just take and put in your pocket the first hour of the day, and then you can kind of piece into some things, right? And you could see what I basically did for the day. I took profits. GE, second target in this name. GE and GE Healthcare, again, gets very little attention, but look at this GE. We caught this out of this break above the value area, and my ultimate target is just 100, right? Which is a nice little move if that happens. And then GE Healthcare, which hardly gets any attention, just continues to methodically move higher as well. So that's a little bit about what I did. And I obviously, and I communicate this to members, that I can't take every single trade. I took another target on an add back I did. But if you look at our watch list for the week, right? So this is basically spreadsheet form, and this is the 16th is from this weekend. But I mean, this is not bad. IoT, which we talked about yesterday, up 8%. Even Salesforce and Nvidia are up about 2%. Crocs has just been an absolute machine. I've got a setup for tomorrow, which you can see I've added Nike. This looks, I like the little consolidation in Nike here. Just has to trigger, right? A little bit of consolidation after breaking out. That's kind of what you want to see. And let's see if this thing could break above, basically 126.66. Right, we've got our levels to watch, and that would be a nice name. The shoe companies have just been on fire. ONON, remember from last week, I took a target right at the top of value. I added back the I took 2 targets on this day in my swing trade. And then when it kind of settled back in, I added some back, and I took that target again today. So traded back up to 32. Again, my ultimate target in ONON is up to 30. I see 2 things. One on the weekly chart, 36.50. The other one up at 37. I would be happy to get 36.53. Another name from yesterday that I'm not sure if I went over this in the public video, but we went over it yesterday in the trading room, was this MDGL, which sometimes you just get a little bit lucky, right? Going over this name, but really, really strong. Big move. Really like the chart. Someone brought this to my attention on Twitter, and ultimately this could be getting to 299. It almost got to the 295 VPOC up here. It came within like a penny or so of hitting that. So really nice in that name. Also from our watch list yesterday, we saw nice size call activity in this HIMS. And, again, I love when option activity lines up with a good looking chart. And this is something that we went over in the room yesterday as well. Huge break of the value area. Look at the volume today on that move. If you like volume on breakouts, I have to say that's about the same volume as it saw on the earnings move. So really, really impressive. And, I talked about it, I believe, in yesterday's video about, names that have had strong earnings. Like this was a name that had good earnings. It set back and provided a dip opportunity in here, kind of came back in. I love a rising 50-day moving average too, right? So this one was strong. DraftKings, which I don't really understand in terms of like why the name would do very well, because I think it has a lot of competition. But you also have a pretty good, you got hockey playoffs, you've got basketball playoffs, which I think there's some good series in both of those sports. And then you got baseball too. So it's a good time for sports gambling. It's a good time of the year for that. So maybe this comes in and takes out 22-28. A lot of call buying in this, momentum type call buying in this as well. So that's a couple names. Also, the best group. This is something that we were reviewing, and I put out in a Substack post. Make sure that you are signed up for TTG Substack. It's free for now. Won't be forever, but it's free for now. I've been putting our end of day, what's called out of the box scan. A lot of home builders came up on that list yesterday. I went long Toll Brothers. Right, it's a real nice break. I love the consolidation. Letting the 50-day moving average basically catch up with it and move higher. The whole group is very, very strong, right? Lennar also up 3% today. Very similar looking charts. You could kind of take your pick, right? Or you could pick that ETF, but very, very strong. So I'm going to keep this this video short. ISRG I thought had really, of course, the attention all on Netflix, which I think has basically come back in the after after they announced earnings, they dipped and they've come back in the aftermarket. But ISRG really nice. Traded all the way up to 298. So 291 is going to get the stock back up to here. And very impressive, and I think very good for the medical device group as well. All right, guys, that's where we'll leave it for today. Have a great night. Hope to see you in the trading room. We start our pre-market session every morning at 10 after 9 o'clock, and we go to the open. Have a great day, everybody.